What's up YouTube, 8-Bit Andy back again with a CRT face-off today. I find myself in possession of two CRTs. The first one I bought when I very first got back into retro gaming, and I got it off of eBay. I paid 20 quid for it. It's the Bang Olufsen MX 4002. Now, I only had that screen for like 3 months before reading on the internet and forums and things about how Sony broadcast monitors were the way to go for retro gaming, and so I tracked down a Sony BVM 20G1E. So my very first YouTube video was actually going to pick that up and setting it up and learning all its nuances. Yeah, and I thought it'd be cool to compare them. Now, the most important aspect to compare is, of course, the picture. I will talk about a couple other things as well. Obviously, we've got the usual problem of filming CRTs, and yeah, I hope it comes across well. I'll do my best to to give you an idea of the difference between the two different screens, and slightly later in the video I'll run a series of systems and different games through both TVs. It'll be a fair test. They'll both be using the exact same RGB cables from a SCART amplifier. So before we get into picture quality, we'll talk about aesthetics. Now, the Bang & Olufsen, Bang & Olufsen are sort of famous for sort of making beautiful products, and their CRTs, I don't know what year that would have been from, the MX 4002, but it really is, like, for a CRT, it's an incredibly slick looking TV. Really narrow at the back, compared to a lot of other ones, certainly the sort of consumer Trinitrons or whatever. So yeah, a really stunning bit of kit, and the speaker set up along the bottom is very cool. Now, the BVM, on the other hand, is a very sort of industrial looking unit. It's almost like an old-fashioned microwave. It's extremely bulky. Both TVs are heavy. You probably wouldn't want to pick that up on your own, the Bang & Olufsen, but the BVM is on another level. It weighs, I think, around 40 kilos, and because it's such a lump, it's such a big unit, very awkward to move on your own. And you need, I had to get my shelf specially made to accommodate it. So yeah, worth sort of taking into consideration if you are limited for space. The B&O, absolutely brilliant bit of kit to look at, very slick, and the Sony BVM pretty ugly. The next thing to think about is availability. I got my BVM must have been about a year and a half ago, and at the time they were, they popped up on eBay periodically, and they were going. I got mine for £155. Nowadays they pop up, I think, a fair bit less. As they can be got, but the price has gone up as well. They're a bit of a pain to get hold of now, and with the weight thing and the awkwardness of them, you have to go and pick them up. To be fair, that's the case with most CRTs. The Bang & Olufsens, they're sort of readily available. It's a consumer set, so there's probably a lot more of them out there. And you're going to be paying, I paid 20 quid for that one, and I don't know, but I would imagine you can probably get one still very cheaply. So again, availability and price, Bang & Olufsen, fantastic. Now, it kind of, there is one more point to consider as well. The setup of the TV. Now, because the BVM is like a professional broadcast monitor, you need to, I went into the whole thing completely naive, and I didn't understand the differences between different inputs. Different BVMs have different cards in the back that accept different inputs, component, composite, RGB, and some accept something, some don't, and you have to do your reading, and you have to learn about BNC connectors, and it took me a little while to get my head around the setting up the BVM. The B&O is completely straightforward to set up, so there's that to consider as well. If you're going to get a broadcast monitor, do a little research. Don't do what I did, which was sort of just jumping at the deep end, because I was scratching my head for a day or two when it first arrived. Right, so that one thing I should actually mention just before we move on to the important part, the part you want to probably see, the picture quality. So my BVM is a 20G1E, which is an 800 line screen. Now, there's also Sony PVMs, which tend to be, not always the case, but they tend to be slightly less good quality. They're usually around 600 lines. It's not always the case. It comes down to model number, but more often than not, a PVM will be 600 lines. So that's slightly better than a PVM, than most PVMs. But there are BVMs that are better than that again. You can certainly get a 900 line one, like the 20 F1E, and I think there's a 1000 line BVM as well, which the more lines you've got, the thicker your scan lines look. And if you're like me and you like the the appearance of scan lines in your retro games, then you might want to look out for one of those. Anyway, I think I've gone on enough. I don't think there's anything else to mention. So let's take a look at at some games, running through them. I think what I'll do is I'll put together a little montage of a few games, and we'll take a look at the picture. Okay, cool. Okay, so the first game we're going to take a look at is Final Fight for the Snares. So first up is the Bang Olufsen TV. Now, as ever, filming a CRT, not ideal, but let's have a quick look. It's a really nice picture. It's just what I would say about the B&O TV. The picture's just slightly washed out compared to the BVM. So we'll go across the BVM now. I'll just zoom in on Hager. Pretty nice. All right, to the BVM. So here's the BVM. Now, let's do them next to each other as well. Hopefully that's coming across quite well. The BVM, this is where these broadcast monitors really excel. The picture on the BVM is a lot stronger than the picture on the B&O. Hold on, I'm just going to turn it down a little bit. The picture on the BVM is a lot stronger. It's a lot more vibrant, a lot brighter. And I've actually got the BVM turned down quite low. You can adjust every single setting on the BVM. As I say, there's really nothing to complain about on the Bang Olufsen TV. It's just when you put it next to this, you really are getting a really crisp and amazing picture. The black levels are a lot darker, and so here we go. There's Final Fight anyway. Let's move on to another game. Okay, so we're going to take a look at Turtles in Time. It's going to be a similar theme. The BVM again really excelling. I'll just give you a quick sort of comparison shot. So, BVM. And Bang Olufsen. Hopefully that's coming across okay. Alright, so we switched consoles and we've gone to the NES. So it's RGB modded NES. Getting a good picture out of it. Bear with me. So, it's really hard to criticise the Bang Olufsen. It's a really nice screen. I don't know how it stands up against other consumer CRTs. I hear very good things about the Sony Trinitrons, but I haven't used one of those since back in the day. So the Bang Olufsen with an RGB picture is really nice. And again the BVM. I think looking through the viewfinder, it seems to be coming across quite well. There is a really big difference between the pictures. I remember a long time back when I was looking for the best CRT, watching a video by a guy called, I think his name was Fagener's 500, and he talked about BVMs being the sort of, the top of the CRT pile. And I've only had an experience with a few, and if you can sort of get over the inconveniences, you are going to get a really nice picture. So there's DuckTales. Great remake of this game on the PS3. I really liked that. Okay, next game. All right, so yeah, it's a similar theme. Again, B&O picture, perfectly serviceable. In fact, really, really nice. Looking through the camera, I mean, it doesn't even, it probably doesn't come across quite as well as it should. It looks really, really good. Yeah, and it's just that much more vibrant on the BVM. You get a lot of flicker on this. It's a bit irritating, but. Okay guys, so hopefully that's given you a good idea of the two monitors. Yeah, as you can see, I hope you can see the BVM is, it is a fair bit better picture-wise than a Bang & Olufsen, and I would probably, I think it's safe to assume it's a fair bit better than, any consumer screen that you might get. I think the choice between going for something like a BVM, it comes down to money, whether you can fit one in your house, whether you can find one, all those things. But I would say if you can and you're into your picture quality for your retro consoles, it's definitely worth it. But yeah, bear in mind there is that little bit of extra effort that can be a bit annoying. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with a Bang & Olufsen. It's a really, really cool TV. All right, hopefully that's been of some interest. Looking at the games and things. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Cheers, YouTube. Bye.